Welcome to Rising from the Rubble, the podcast where we share real life stories of people who have faced life-changing events like burnout, redundancy, depression, and found a way to rise stronger than before. I'm your host, Maria Newman, and as a coach, I help individuals navigate life's toughest transitions. Whilst listening to this podcast, you'll hear inspiring stories and coaching insights that will empower you to reclaim your confidence, redefine your future, and rise from your own rubble. It's now time to sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to our episode. Hello, Helen, and thank you for joining me today.
It's great. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Maria. It's lovely.
You're most welcome. So, what makes your story meaningful to others?
So, for me, women don't always get what they think they should, and they don't always get what they deserve.
And who will benefit the most from hearing about your journey?
Being very direct, the people that will benefit the most are those that are in a long-term relationship and not married.
And what's the most important takeaway from your experience?
That if you can live through the yuck, then it's surprising what you can kind of come out the other side being and feeling.
So, Helen, who are you and what is your story?
So I am Helen. I'm the mum of two boys. At the recording of this, they are 18 and 19, and they are settled in their world, which is lovely and really, really nice to have and to be. If people ask me what I do, I tell them I rewire your brain so that you can feel and be and act the way that you want to, whether that's in business, whether that's in personal life, whatever that might be. That's what I do. I am going to share something, if it's okay with you, Maria, that my goal for this year is to be a paid speaker. So that is something that is really kind of, I'm running with and going with. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the journey I'd been on last year, then I wouldn't be going on this journey this year.
So tell us more about the experience that you want to share from your rising from the rubble.
So let's begin with the rubble. The rubble for me was began in March last year. Well, I suppose it didn't begin then, but that's when I guess everything sort of crumbled for me. In March last year, I walked out on a 24-year relationship. At the time, my mum wasn't very well, so I ended up, the first 2 nights I went to my sister's, and then after that, I ended up going back home to help my dad look after my mum. Shortly after that, she ended up in hospital, and bless her, literally 2 weeks to the day that I left, she passed away. And don't get me wrong, it was sad, it wasn't very nice, and there was a lot of bits and bobs that kind of went on around that. For example, my sister, or one of my sisters, is down in Australia, and when mum wasn't very well, we had does she come now, does she wait, does she come now and she's still with us, or do we wait and then she's here for the funeral? And so there was a lot of hooing and hawing that kind of goes on with the practicality of those bits and bobs. But on a positive side of things, if I hadn't have walked out on that relationship, I wouldn't have got to spend the time with my mum when she wasn't well. And I wouldn't have got to spend the time with my sister while she was here from Australia. I've got 3 sisters in total, so there's 4 of us. And there was one night particularly we caught up all together. And I knew that wouldn't have happened if I was still with the relationship, still with him. So that's sort of the rubble of what kind of happened and what sort of went on. And I guess from there, it was me finding me and I guess becoming the version of me that I am now, which has been quite a journey in, not quite a year, really. So yes, I've achieved a lot in the last year of, nearly a year of where I am now, not just business, but personally as well.
The 24 years is a long time to be with someone. How did that relationship change to the point that you felt that you needed to leave?
It was over time. I think a lot of these things never kind of, you don't sort of wake up one day and go, right, I'm out of here, I've had enough. He wasn't very supportive at times. He wasn't very nice with the language that he used. And the hard thing is, in one sense, is that I got into the world that I work in through anxiety, and a lot of it was his anxieties that kind of led me on the path that I'm on. So, in some sense, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. But the downside was that his mental health, because I did the training and I'd done training in lots of different bits and bobs, that he expected me to fix it. He expected me to fix it and make everything better, but he wouldn't put any effort in. So over the years of doing this, doing that, doing the other, it got to a point where I was spent. I'd had enough. And it's funny, after leaving, I've been sort of, as you do, you catch little things on social media. And one of the things it talks about is going silent. And that's what I did over the last sort of the latter end of the relationship. I started to go silent because I'd tried, I'd done everything, I'd advised, and it all landed on deaf ears. And everything ended up being down to me. And I guess that pressure got to a point where it just got too big. And there was 2 mornings when my mum wasn't very well. And I got phone calls early doors saying from my dad, can you give me a hand to get your mum up? I can't get her out of bed and she needs the loo. So I had to very quickly get dressed, jump in the car and go out. And the first morning, it was okay. He was okay. The only thing I wanted him to do was to get the youngest to work. Not a problem. The second morning, it wasn't as early, but it was still early doors. I got another phone call again from my dad saying, I can't get your mum up and about. Can you give me your hand again? So I says, yeah, I'll be out as soon as I can, Dad. So I flew upstairs this time and I was going to get dressed. And I said to him, just before I went into the bathroom, I said, Dad's been on the phone again. Would you please, I've got to go out. Would you please just get Josh to, oh, said his name, to the train station because he needs to get to college. And he went, they're taking liberties, aren't they? And I was thinking, hang on a minute, Mum's not very well, and this is day 2 of me having a phone call to go and help. I wasn't asking him to do anything, just to help. So I went into the bathroom, got changed, and I came back out, and he went, what if I had to be at work for 7:30? And I thought to myself, he's self-employed. He works for himself. He's a he doesn't have the ties of having to be somewhere. And even if he did have the ties of having to be somewhere, I'm sure if he rang and said, look, I can't be there for X, I'm going to be 10, 15 minutes late or whatever, half an hour late, whatever, then people would understand, especially with the Y. So those 2 mornings were a big thing for me. Yes, there'd been things already simmering in the background. And when I left that, what would it have been? Thursday morning, when I was in the car heading out to my mum and dad's, I knew that was the night, that night I was going to leave. That was it. I'd had enough. There was no support. There was everything was he wanted everything to be his way. And he used to say in the past, if you don't like it, then leave. And I guess that's exactly what I eventually ended up doing. I left. So that took me on a journey. And the biggest one of the biggest things I want people to be aware of is that common law husband and wife is a myth. It doesn't exist. It really doesn't. In a court of law, it doesn't exist. And part of me wishes that they wouldn't put it on forms, common law husband, wife, your ticket kind of a thing. And it pulls people into a false sense of security, I believe, because it doesn't. It is a complete myth. So what I realised afterwards, once things had settled down and Mum's funeral was out the way and this, that and the other, that I had no legal rights to anything. There was no mortgage. There was no mortgage on the house. He'd built the house. There was no mortgage on it at all. I realised that I had no legal rights to anything. We'd been together, as I said, over 20 years, and there was nothing. So I'd left with literally nothing. So I then started a bit of a legal battle to try and work out what I could and couldn't do moving forward. And something that if anybody is in the position where I was, and they're in a relationship, that they don't have any legal documentations linking them to either the person that they're with or the family home, do something about it now. Get your name on the deeds of the house. Whatever, if it's that. If it's a relationship that you're in, then make sure we go and get some legal advice around what you have to do. You don't necessarily have to get married. I have known people that have got married because they've realised that they've been in a long-term relationship and gone, if this goes Pete Tong, I actually have no legal rights to anything. Don't get me wrong, they wanted to get married as well. It's not done it, out of, oh, we'll just do it. They wanted. But that's the journey that I ended up on. And what I found out is that I could put a claim in against the house, but I had a slight issue. He'd sold the family home. Literally, I left on the Thursday. He'd accepted an offer on the Tuesday before I left. So time was not on my side. So I was advised from a solicitor's point of view that if I wanted to get something sorted, then I had to act quickly. So there'd been conversations back and forth around bits and bobs. But basically, when I told him I was getting some legal advice and around the route it was going down, suddenly he ghosted me and there was nothing. There was no reply to text messages, no reply to emails, nothing like that. So I ended up getting a solicitor's letter written and sent to him. That put a bomb up his bottom and got his backside into gear. And in the end, we came to an arrangement around the financials. But what I am going to say is, I'm not going to give figures, but what figure I will give you is that I walked away with 23% of what the house was worth when he sold it. So I didn't walk away with a huge amount. I could have possibly gone down more of a legal route and gone to courts and done all that kind of a thing. But there was a big chance that I could lose everything and end up paying his court fees. So, as I said, we ended up on a fee, and he basically walked away with a lot more than what I did on a financial level. However, on an emotional level, that's a different story. He fell to pieces. I rose from the rubble, and people instantly said, "Wow, you look better." And I hadn't really done anything. People, and don't forget, in amongst all of this, bless poor mum had passed as well. And people could see it in me. You're so much more confident. I can see your smile is there, your energy is there. I thought I was a happy, smiley person anyway. But people are seeing this different side of me, which really did cement in the fact of, yeah, that was a big weight you were carrying and you're not carrying it anymore. And yeah, so as much as it was awful at times, and there was some huge stresses around finances and bits and bobs, it was well worth every second. Fast forward to where I am now. I bought my house. It's all mine. In, what would it be? October time. So I have been in my own place now for a few months, and it's settled, and I look forward to going home, which is something that I didn't do at one point. When we were together as a family, it often felt like I was walking on eggshells. It wasn't a comfortable place to be at all. Now I look forward to going home. It's my space and it's all mine. Something that I have learnt, and something that I will make sure that I have moving forward, is I will always have my base. So whatever happens moving forward, I will always have my base, and it will be my place to always go back to, as a bit like a safety blanket in a sense. So if anything ever kind of goes Pete Tong again, then I've always got my little house to kind of go back to. So my biggest message is, or there's two of them, I think. The first one is, please do something if you're in a long-term relationship and you have children, and there's no, I'm going to say, legal documentation that's connecting you in with things. Because the fact that, I mean, for me, I left a career to bring up the children. That means nothing. Means nothing. From the fact of I supported him throughout his self-employed world, means nothing. Yes, he worked hard, please don't get me wrong, but it means nothing on a legal level. So please make sure that you get some advice to make sure that your future is safe. And I don't mean to be money grabbing, because I'm not necessarily saying that, but you need to have some financial security there. And the other one is that if you can rise from the rubble like I did, and if I can do it, anybody can. So don't don't be stuck. And it might not be that this is the right time to do anything. I knew, in all honesty, hand on heart, I knew a little bit before I actually left that I wasn't going to be there for the rest of my life. And if you're sitting in anything like that, then start thinking about what you want, what you would like your place to look like, what you would like your future to look like. Because it's surprising what may happen that ends you on a very different path. Again, sad that bless mum wasn't well, but if she hadn't have gotten well, then I might actually still be there. So yeah, it's surprising sometimes what can happen that leads you on a completely different path. So yeah, I have got some great goals for this year for my business side of the things, and personally, it's a case of keep rebuilding me, keep being the best version of me moving forward that I kind of can be, and keep my door wide open for my boys to be able to come and go from my house as much as they wish to. So I guess that's my message to anybody listening or watching today.
Ah, thank you, Helen. I mean, you are inspiration, and there's a couple of things that I just want to delve into a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, you mentioned there were times where you thought, well, this isn't going to be, I'm not going to be in this forever. What either made you stay or made you not leave at those points?
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you look back and you go, what I've done wasn't actually as difficult as you think it's going to be. And I think the thing is, financial security was a big one. I didn't have a lot. I had a little bit of savings, and I was trying to build on those savings for the one day that I was going to leave. And also, kids, I didn't want to upskittle their worlds. My youngest was he passed his test just after, yeah, just after mum died. So I think it was a couple of 3 weeks after mum died. And sounds awful, but I didn't feel like I could trust him to drop him off at work to get him to the train station and all those things that he needed for college and bits and bobs. So that was one reason why I left, because I knew that me walking out, I'd have to leave the boys behind. I knew that I couldn't take them with me because financially I wouldn't have anywhere to take them to. I went, as I said, back home to my dad, and to take them out of their family home to that didn't feel right at all. So I guess financials and kids are probably like a lot of women. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I think it's over like Sweden way. And I believe their divorce rate is higher because women earn the same as men. And they say that there isn't the financial ties that keeps women sometimes in a relationship longer than they would want to be in. And I think that highlights a lot of women out there who are stuck in situations from a financial point of view.
And the other thing I want to hear more about is, so you made the decision in the morning-ish that you were going to have this conversation. So potentially, although obviously you're looking after your mum because she's not very well, there's also this thing in the back of your head saying to you, and then when I go back home at some point, I'm going to have this potentially, or well, it's not potential, awkward, difficult conversation. So, how did you prepare for it? How did you get yourself through it? Because
It's
it's
weird, yeah.
difficult.
No, it is weird because I remember I was fizzing. I was so angry. I was that so that energy was there, and I remember driving out to my mum's, and I was absolutely boiling. I can't remember a time when I felt so angry. So that was a good driver, as awful as that is. And I was just there to help get mum up and about and sorted, and dad could kind of do everything else. So then I went to work and I didn't go home. I went straight to work after sorting mum out, spent the day at work doing bits and bobs. And then I went home. I got tea sorted as I normally would have done. Yeah, yeah. Oh God, life was absolutely as normal as possible. My fear was that if I didn't get in there first, he would throw me out. So this is why I hadn't sort of said much early, because people are like, well, have the conversation, talk to him, tell him what's happening, what's going on. The way that he was, my fear was that if I said anything, he would just literally, he'd just throw me out, kind of a thing. So I had to. And then my eldest was home late from work. So he was in the kitchen and I'm like, just finish your tea and just go upstairs. Just go for your shower, go for your shower. And he didn't, and he didn't, and he didn't. And I'm like, please just go for your shower, go for your shower. And eventually I had to sort of say in front of him, and I didn't want the boys to be around. I had little chats with both of them previous to this, saying that me, Dad, I've had the best time. And I'd said I don't know how long, I can stay with this and continue with this. So I kind of set the seed a little bit in a very hopefully sort of gentle way. And then so eventually I just had to literally just say, look, I said, and I remember saying, I'm sorry, but I'm going to burst the bubble here. I'm leaving. I'm going. And his natural reaction for him was to get angry, and he would get angry about a lot of things. That was his natural kind of outburst around it all. I kept as calm as possible. I'm pretty sure there'll have been a couple of things that I've said that my eldest will have heard that didn't want him to hear, but nothing, I don't think, too bad. And eventually, yeah, so I just packed a bag and left. And I remember my sister, she's a nurse and she was working, and I remember sending her a message saying, any chance of a bed and a glass of wine? Something on those lines. She was more aware of what was going on behind the scenes for me. So she was, yeah, quite happy. And then when she left work, she sent me a message and I went to hers. But what was difficult as well throughout it moving forward was the fact that my eldest said to me, this was a week after leaving, he said, I don't want to get stuck in the middle of this. So I said, I will do everything I can so that doesn't happen. And the worst thing was that he pulled him into everything. So the day that he got the solicitor's letter, I believe the first person that knew was our eldest. And I don't think that was right, personally. Yes, for them to understand, yes, for them to know, I get that. He let him read it. He let him read the solicitor's letter, so he knew everything about it. So again, there is a level of them being a bit older and being able to understand what's happening, what's going on. But also, I don't think they should have been. And at one point along the line as well, he'd sent me a couple of messages one day and I hadn't returned it. I was a missed call as well and I hadn't returned them because I was at work. And he got our youngest to ring me because he knew I would answer the phone to him. But I had a good idea why he was getting the youngest to ring me. And I will say I was angry on that phone call. And I did say a few things on that phone call that my youngest heard, which I am not proud of. But I explained to them both afterwards and along the way that I did my best to keep them out of everything that went on. So in one sense, I feel it would have been easier for them, possibly, if they'd have been younger, because he then couldn't have used them as a pal rather than a son. But also with them being older, they've got that ability to come and go as they please because they both drive. So yeah, positives and negatives either way.
So if you could get in a time machine and travel back before you made the decision to leave, what advice would you give yourself other than what you've already told us, which is obviously to make sure there's legal documentation in place?
So putting all those bits and bobs to one side is to, well, I suppose just don't ignore the red flags. I ignored so many. Looking back, I ignored so many, even early on in the relationship. So many I ignored. And I think, again, it might be more of a woman thing than a male thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, Yeah, listen to your gut. And rather than ignore the red flags, top them up. Have a little bit of touching up of them. And if you get to the point where you've got X amount of red flags out, whatever that might be for you, that you go, yeah. I mean, arguably, we shouldn't take the first red flag. But again, being a bit younger and this, that, and the other. But yeah, be aware of the red flags because they don't go away. They might change, they might tweak, they might adjust, but they don't go away, really.
So we are coming to the end of our recording together. Time goes so quickly when you're having fun.
Indeed.
Before we go, though, I'd like you to tell us what you want people to take away from this conversation. We've covered a lot. So what are the 3 most important things that you would like people to take away from this conversation?
Number one, as I said, look at the legal side of the things. If you've got no legal documentation, it will not stand up in court. Court need legal documentations. Marriage certificate, civil service certificate, mortgage, deeds for house, that sort of thing. The legal documents. I am no way, shape or form any sort of kind of professional or understanding or anything, but get some advice. Even if it's just going to citizens advice or something like that, get some advice. 2, I suppose what we just mentioned there is just be aware of the red flags and listen to them or ignore them because they don't go away. And 3, it's freaking hard work doing it, but when you come out the other side, there's such a relief. And I've done so much in the last few months that I never would have done, and experienced so much that I never would have done. And yeah, looking back, I missed out on a lot. So I'm kind of trying to make it sort of count now, whatever. I know it sounds a bit morbid, but whatever time I have left, it's going to be on my terms and I'm going to do what I want to do, kind of a thing around it all. And just one very, very quick one. I'm hoping one day, not just yet, because I'm not 100% settled, is to get have you come across Maine Coon cats? That's one of my goals, to get one of them, so I can have a cat that I can take for a walk. And I'm going to be the strange cat woman walking around the estate with a cat. Yeah, that's my goal.
Love it, love it. So before we close this episode, Helen, our listeners will be thinking, Helen, she's amazing. I need to be in her world. Make it easier for them and tell us how they can connect with you.
You can connect with me if you're on LinkedIn. It's probably the easiest place to connect. It's where I spend most of my kind of time hanging out. But I'm also over on Facebook as well as Instagram. And you can ask me for my handles and I can't remember them. Your Calm Mind Academy, I think, is the Instagram one. Oh my goodness me. And Helen Goad, Brain Rewiring Specialist, I think is the Facebook one.
We'll include it in the episode description, so it'll be absolutely fine. So that just leaves me to say thank you, Helen, for sharing your story and being so open and honest with us.
Thank you. And if it helps one person just secure their financial future, then it's worth it. If it helps somebody else pluck up the courage to leave something that isn't right for them, bonus.
And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Rising from the Rubble. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Also, remember to download your free life assessment. Just click the link in the description to get started. Take care, and remember, every setback is an opportunity for growth. I'll see you next time.